Welcome to the Albuquerque Journal's premier high school sports show, Prep Central, with your host, James Yodice. This show is presented by Western New Mexico University.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Preps Central. I am James Yodice, the high school sports editor at the Journal. This is going to be sort of our last sort of official-looking podcast of the school year, although I hope to have a couple of podcasts over the next few weeks, sitting down with some people who were headline makers during the spring sports, which is what we're going to talk about today. We sit down. It's Wednesday after state championship week. Of course, boy, it's been a long, really 9 straight months from about the middle of August to the middle of May when soccer and football gets started to when we run through all the baseball games, softball games, track and field meets. So it has been a long 9 months, but here we are. Almost time for a break for me. I'll be on vacation starting in a couple of weeks, but I've got some other projects coming in the Journal, including our all-metro baseball and softball teams. I'm going to have a big year-ender column coming Sunday, Memorial Day weekend Sunday, just kind of talking about the entire school year, the breadth and the width of it. We're going to have our individual sport athletes of the year, 22 of them this year because we added powerlifting. So I pick an athlete of the year in all the sports, and we'll announce that in a couple of weeks. And then, of course, my choices for the Journal's overall male and female prep athlete of the year. I believe we're looking at Sunday, June 9th to announce those. So I've got a lot of work still to do over the next couple of weeks before I can look forward to some time off. So in the meantime, we're going to talk about the second week of state spring sports. And we're going to start, of course, with the La Cueva baseball team. La Cueva won its 12th state championship last Saturday, 3-2 over Cleveland, which doesn't really even come close to telling the story. Cleveland has never won state. Cleveland's been in the finals a couple of times before this year. This was their third go-around. Going back 2 or 3 weeks, I had several people ask me, is there anybody out there that can take down La Cueva in the state tournament? And the one name that I said over and over was Cleveland. I was not surprised to see Cleveland get into the championship game. I was not surprised to see Cleveland play as well as it did in the championship game. I thought they had a pretty good chance to upset La Cueva. I still thought La Cueva would win the game, and they did, of course, but it didn't quite unfold the way you would have expected. It was a very odd game, the way it ended. Of course, if you've read my stuff, and probably if you're watching this, you probably already know, of course, that La Cueva won the game in the bottom of the 7th with 2 outs on back-to-back bases-loaded walks. I certainly have covered a lot of championship games in baseball. I've never seen one end that way. It was a hard thing to watch if you were a Cleveland fan. Excruciating, really. They were 1 out away from winning the program's first championship. And they had a kid on the mound, Joseph Stevenson, who pitched great in relief on Thursday in the quarterfinals against Los Lunas, pitched a couple of good innings in the semifinals against Rio Rancho. He was back in the game to get the save on Saturday against La Cueva. Kind of lost the plate at the end, and it was tough to watch. He was understandably upset, and I wrote this in my wrap-up column the other day that I don't think Joseph should be too hard on himself. He's one of the main reasons that Cleveland got to the championship game. And, he just lost the plate for a short amount of time. He was pitching under unbelievable duress in that situation. You're talking bottom of the 7th against a program with La Cueva's pedigree. The bases are loaded. You only need 1 out. And he just lost the plate for a couple of minutes. And so La Cueva wins the game 3-2. Of course, you probably already know that La Cueva coach Gerard Pineda got ejected in this game, which just doesn't happen in championship games. You do not see coaches get chucked, in a final. But he did in the 6th inning for arguing a ball that down the right field line that he thought was foul. The umpire ruled fair. Gerard stood out there quite a long while, arguing his point. And finally, the plate umpire just said, "I've heard enough," and threw him out of the game. This was in the top of the 6th. This ball that he was arguing turns into a triple down the right field line. The right fielder, Evan Lane from La Cueva, told me he thought the ball was foul. Gerard said he thought the ball was foul. It was hard to tell from the press box, to be honest with you, what had happened. But he lost the argument. He got chucked from the game. Cleveland scored on a sacrifice fly on the next batter to go ahead 2-1. So Cleveland was set up there with only 6 outs to get. They got through the bottom of the 6th. They got a double play to get out of that inning. And as I said, they got within 1 out in the 7th of upsetting La Cueva. And it was a tough way to lose. But congratulations to La Cueva. As Coach Pineda said, we've won games in all kinds of different ways this year. And he's probably never won a game of that importance like that in his life. And I guarantee probably all the kids on that La Cueva baseball team have never been involved in a game that important that was won in that fashion with consecutive bases-loaded walks. So a very dramatic finish, and it was really the most dramatic game of the entire second week of the state tournament, of 5A at least. We had some good games, some close games, but none that matched the drama of the championship game, which is good, which is the way you'd want it, of course. So we congratulate La Cueva. And, Cleveland, I'm sure they're going to get their championship someday. I don't know when, but, boy, they were close. And I'm sure it's going to sting for a bit, the way this unfolded. But that is baseball, and that's the way it goes sometimes. There are lots of ways to win or lose a baseball game, and this is kind of a new one. So La Cueva is among the state champions in baseball. Talk about some of the other teams that won state. Grants in 4A, which had never even been to a championship game in baseball, won it all. They beat Artesia 5-3 in the final. And you have to remember, Grants was the number 1 seed last year and got beat in the quarterfinals. And so they came back this year as the number 2 seed, and they were kind of eager to make a run at it this year. Grants, as I've said, and of course, as everybody knows who follows high school athletics, Grants is primarily thought of as a basketball town. So for them to win state in baseball the way they did was really a tremendous accomplishment. So let's jump into Class 3A baseball. Robertson beat West Las Vegas 12-8 in the championship game. You had to feel good for Leroy Gonzalez. He's the Robertson coach. He's won state as both the football and baseball coach. He's been battling some health issues over the last couple of years. And I think it was immensely gratifying for him and the community, not just to beat West Las Vegas, their biggest rival, but to win state in that fashion. They gave up 4 runs in the first inning. And then Robertson scored the next 12, and then West Las Vegas scored 4 runs at the end to make it a little bit closer. So congratulations to Robertson, which was a 7 seed and the lowest seed to win state. In Class 2A, the co-op of Oak Grove and Manal, which is almost all Oak Grove kids. I think there's only one Manal kid on this team. Oak Grove was a 4 seed. They won state in Class 2A. They beat up on Eunice, the number 6 seed, 10-0 in the championship game. Eunice, of course, is the program that's won more state baseball titles than anyone, more than Carlsbad, more than La Cueva, more than Farmington. So that is a storied program from southeast New Mexico. So congratulations to Oak Grove and Manal for that state championship. Tremendous work last week. So we move on, and we want to talk a little softball as well. And I'm sorry, before we do that, actually, I forgot to mention the Class 1A state champion, which was Melrose, which beat Logan 9-1. Logan had a crazy semifinal game the day before against Grady. Logan had to score 6 runs in the bottom of the 7th to win the semifinal game 12-11, and maybe they had nothing left in the final. Melrose, kind of dominated the final, and they win it 9-1. So apologies, I almost forgot about Melrose there. So now let's move on to softball. Another year in which we don't have anybody from the metro area get into the state finals. And I've noted this a few times. Look, softball is probably the one sport that is most dominated by teams outside the Albuquerque metro area. Usually we have at least a couple of teams get into the state finals in just about any sport. Softball is not one of them. I think it's been 3 or 4 years now, 3 years, I think, since we had a local team in the championship. But the out-of-town teams tend to dominate in softball. And we saw that. La Cueva had a nice run in 5A. Of course, Centennial won the state title 6-5 over Alamogordo in the if necessary game on Saturday at UNM. From here in Albuquerque, La Cueva was one of the last 3 teams remaining, and La Cueva lost to Centennial sort of in the play-in game into the championship round. And then we had Centennial had to beat Alamogordo twice on Saturday to win it all, which they did. So congrats to Centennial. I believe that's their second state championship. Gallup also got pushed to an if-necessary game by Artesia in Class 4A, but Gallup won the deciding game in 4A, so congratulations to Gallup. Gallup's a little bit like Grants baseball. I've always thought of Gallup just as primarily a basketball school, and before that, really even a major cross-country school. They haven't been as much of a factor on the track or on the cross-country courses of late, but Gallup was always thought of a major cross-country school, a great school to produce runners, and a school that produced a ton of great basketball teams, and they still do. But Gallup has now become, with this group of girls that have come up over the last 4 seasons, and Gallup has been to the finals 4 seasons in a row. Now Gallup has won state again, so congratulations to them. West Las Vegas won its first title in Class 3A. And, of course, we talked a little bit recently about Malia Satate, the 8th grader who hit a couple of more home runs during the postseason. She finished the year with 24, which shattered the previous state record of 20. She's very impressive. I got a chance to watch her a little bit this year, not very much, but she's a very impressive-looking player. She finishes with 24 dingers, so she has set the bar pretty high now for the next person, which may actually be herself going forward, since she's still got 4 years of eligibility with West. So congratulations to West, and Loving also, the small school champion. 1A and 2A are together, and they won a state title as well. Loving is one of New Mexico's all-time great softball programs. They have been a small school dynasty for just about as long as I've been doing this job, which is quite a while. So congratulations to all those schools, the softball schools, the baseball schools. As we shift to track and field, it would be hard for me to give a proper representation for the number of incredible performances we saw during the big school state track meet, and even the week before, even going back to the small school state track meet the weekend before for Class 1A, 2A, and 3A. But last weekend at the 4A and 5A meet, any number of state records were falling, way too many to get into here. But we had state records falling left and right, both relay teams, individuals on the track, individuals in the field events. It was just a bonanza of state records for state track and field last weekend. It was fun to watch. I say this all the time, and I'll say it again if you've never heard me say this. The second day of the state track meet, the big school state track meet, is the best single day of high school sports in the entire calendar year. No question. I would say state championship Saturday in basketball is second, but to me it's clearly second. It's not, I suppose it depends on your preference for basketball, but you get more great athleticism and thrilling performances and constant excitement at the second day of state track than you get anywhere else on any other day, whether it's state championship football day, state championship basketball day. State track, second day of state track is an awesome day to experience. I was able to watch quite a bit of it before I peeled off to do baseball, but there were just an unbelievable number of kids, both on the girls' side and the boys' side, who put together tremendous performances on the weekend. The 5A high point athlete was Frederick Ford from Albuquerque High with 21 points, and he got DQ'd out of the 200-meter final, which he won. I believe he strayed out of his lane, so he got DQ'd, or it would have been 28 with 4 victories. He was probably the best male track and field athlete we had in the metro area this year, and you could make an argument that he was maybe the most versatile in the state in 5A. Cassell Davis from Las Cruces High had a humongous meet. She scored almost 30 points, multiple state titles. She's a force both on the field events like the high jump and on the track. A remarkable athlete. So, congratulations to them. The team champions, we had the Cleveland boys win 5A for the 8th straight season. And that is the second best dynasty I'd say we have going in New Mexico right now, after the Academy Boys tennis program, which of course has won 21 in a row, as we talked about last week. Cleveland boys track and field, a tremendous run, 8 in a row. They weren't the best team this year. That was Los Alamos. Not by a lot, but Los Alamos was the best overall team in the state, as were the girls. And, of course, Los Alamos boys and girls won the 4A state championships as expected. That was not a surprise. It's rare that schools or programs from outside the largest classification prove to be the best in the state. It does happen. Los Alamos boys and girls track this year is an example. Academy boys tennis is frequently an example of that. Go back 2 seasons, the fall of 2022, the Hope Christian girls soccer team. They were the best team in the state that year. They beat the 5A champion, which was El Dorado. They were the best team in the state. So sometimes the best team in the state can be found someplace other than the largest division. That's good. I think that's healthy for everybody. It's nice to see some of the smaller schools doing well. But Los Alamos boys and girls track has been a really remarkable thing to watch. They compete in just about every single event, both individual on the track, the field events, the relays. Of course, they do tremendously well there. So congratulations to the Hilltoppers. And as far as the 5A girls went this year, we actually finished with a tie for first place between Rio Rancho and El Dorado. Of course, Gianna Raymer, the 8th grader, who finally is finishing her 8th grade year, she'll finally be in high school in August at El Dorado. Closes out her career with 3 state records in the distance races, the 800, the 1600, the 3200. She's really been remarkable to watch this entire school year, going back to the first time I saw her at I think it was the Cleveland Invitational Cross Country Meet, which goes back to almost Labor Day weekend. She's really been a special person to watch. She's easy to root for. The crowds seem to love her. She runs with joy. I think the fans pick up on that. And so she's quickly become a crowd favorite. And she, like I said, she's not even technically in high school yet. So it'll be fun, next year when we get her and Bella Hines and the Corley sisters, the tennis-playing sisters, Vivica and Bianca, all on the same campus. That'll be kind of a fun thing. That's a lot of major sport personalities at the prep level that we'll see at El Dorado next year. There was somebody else I wanted to mention, too. Shaolin Munir, who is a javelin thrower from Oregon Mountain. We talk a lot about Gianna, of course, and rightfully so. Shaolin Munir put together a throw last weekend, 165 feet and 4 inches, I believe, which was like over 20 feet better than her previous throw this year, and one of the top 5 throws for sure, maybe even top 3 throws. I'm still not quite certain about this in the country. So it was an incredibly special throw. And I don't know whether she's coming up to the Great Southwest Track and Field Meet, which is coming up as I sit here on Wednesday, the 22nd. The Great Southwest will start 2 weeks from tomorrow. It runs June 6th, 7th, and 8th at UNM. It's one of the best outdoor meets in the country, and it brings together a lot of really talented kids from all over the U.S. I'm not sure if she'll be up for that. I hope she will be. But I wanted to make a special mention of her because she put together probably, if you're talking about all the field events and even the running events, despite all the state records, her mark was probably the only one that occurred in any of the 5 track and field meets, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A, that registered that well on a national scale. So wanted to give a shout-out to Shaolin Munir from Oregon Mountain. That is a tremendous effort in the javelin. I didn't get a chance to see it, unfortunately. I found out about it Sunday, was doing a little research. It's one of the best marks in the country, so congrats to her.
Education and training at Western New Mexico University is accessible from every corner of the land of enchantment, providing limitless opportunities toward success for more than a century. And now, through the New Mexico Opportunity Scholarship, tuition and fees are covered for anyone looking to start or start over. Along with free tuition, books are always included for every WNMU student, assuring your only worry is how far you can actually go. Lift off toward your future and endless potential at WNMU today.
That sort of recaps everything that happened in the spring. There are a couple other notes I want to pass along before I get out of here today. And there are going to be some other podcasts, I should tell you, that are going to appear during the month of June, pretty much when I'm on vacation. I'm going to be recording, I hope, several podcasts with some people over the next couple of weeks before I take off for a while that will run while I'm gone. Some interviews with some local people. But before we do that, I wanted to make mention of a couple of notes that have occurred over the last couple of weeks. Josh Skarsgård, who played with James Abrego, who has just interviewed for the Los Angeles Lakers coaching job at Albuquerque Academy. Josh is going to, and he's the founder of the ABC Prep local club team. He is now the new girls basketball coach at Albuquerque Academy. I talked to Josh today. He's really excited to be back with his alma mater. And, we're all kind of watching to see whether James Borrego becomes the next coach of the Lakers. I asked Josh about that today. He said he spoke with James this morning, as a matter of fact, and said the interview went really well, and they're just going to kind of wait and see whether there's an offer. Of course, some other people have interviewed for that job as well. So we'll see what happens there. And the other note I wanted to get to was Latavius Morris from Atrisco Heritage, who's one of my favorite kids. Latavius, if you don't know, is an outstanding multi-sport athlete at Atrisco Heritage. He was a tremendous football player for the Jaguars last fall. And, of course, he's one of the handful of best basketball players in Class 5A from last season. He's a 5'8 guard. He was going to be a senior this coming year, in the fall of 2024 at Atrisco, but he has chosen to not compete in prep athletics anymore at Atrisco Heritage. He is joining ABC Prep. He's going to play there. He's going to try and expand his profile. I talked to Latavius today as well. He feels like the competition will be better. He feels like he'll be able to expand his profile, and it will give him a better chance to be seen both on a regional and a national level by college coaches, recruiters, scouts, and such. So we're going to miss him. Of course, we already lost Cam Dyer. Cam's going to play football next fall for La Cueva, but he's not going to play basketball because he's going to graduate early. Eric Jacobson, the big 6'10 kid from La Cueva, a great talent, a future D1 kid, I'm sure. He's leaving because he's going to a prep school in New Hampshire. And now we lose Latavius. It's a big loss. Latavius is a heck of a lot of fun to watch. He's a very special athlete. I'm going to miss watching him. I'm going to miss his energy and watching his skill set. But of course, we wish Tay well at ABC Prep, and of course, we'll still be sort of monitoring him as we go along, and hopefully he finds the right college. As he told me today, look, he's like, I'm 5'8", so coaches can't always trust what they see from a kid that tall on film. So he feels like by getting out and traveling the country, and he's already done tournaments in places like Dallas and Kansas City just since the end of the high school season. By appearing in these tournaments and these events, he's going to be able to better showcase his skill set, something that coaches may not pick up on film. So I hope he finds a home in college at some point. And like I said, we'll miss him, but we wish him the best of luck. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Like I said, this is sort of the last regular podcast of the year. I hope to drop a couple of others during June with some interviews. But as far as my next regular podcast, that will not occur until we get closer to football season. August 22nd, which is a Thursday, is going to be kickoff night here in the Albuquerque metro area. We'll get together and sit down for a podcast then, and we'll preview the whole season probably sometime that week. So in the meantime, I appreciate you watching. You can find it, of course, at abqjournal.com and on YouTube and whatnot. It's fun doing these. As I've said in a previous podcast or two, we're hoping to enhance this product quite a bit between now and football season and try and find a way to get more guests in here. That is my number one priority. I want to get more guests in here into the studio. We had several this year, and I'm grateful for that. But I'd like to try and get a more regular stream of guests in. So we're working on some things here at this end to try and make that happen. I think you all will like that better than just sitting and listening to me for 20, 25 minutes every week. So in the meantime, take care. Thanks for watching. As always, we encourage you to read, hear, watch all of the journal content, which remains, as I will say, every chance I get, the best you can get from any media outlet in New Mexico. We do great work here, and I hope you'll digest our work in some form or another, whether you're doing it digitally or in our print edition. But we appreciate your following us and keeping track of things. Anyway, have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.